have curly, kinky, or coily hair that has been stuck at the same length for several years? Have you finally thrown in the towel, believing that, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I've tried several products and my hair just isn't growing. Is your hair always dry and brittle? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, today I'm about to share some information that I wish I knew 10 or maybe 20 years ago that would have allowed me to retain much longer lengths. You see, I was once just like you. My hair was stuck at my shoulder for a very long time, for several years, until I finally figured out what I was doing wrong. Hi everyone, welcome back to Self-Care Voyage. To my amazing subscribers, thank you for joining me once again. And if you're visiting for the first time, a warm welcome. I hope that you learned something important today that will help you on your hair care journey. Let's get into the video. First, let me explain what our natural hair strands actually look like, because this is very, very important. Our curly, coily, and kinky hair strands, they actually resemble a twisted oval rod. This means that our strands are not round. In reality, they're actually a bit flat. This is because our hair follicles, that is the hair follicles of those individuals with curly, coily, or kinky hair texture, it's more like a ribbon-like structure. It's not round. In addition, the hair follicles are positioned at a 45-degree angle toward the surface of your scalp. And while on the subject of hair follicles, it's important to note that our follicles may be of varying sizes. So if your hair follicles are larger, then your hair strands will be thicker and stronger, more resilient. But if your hair follicles are fine, then your hair will automatically be very fine and your strands will be weaker. A major problem with fine strands is that they're weaker, they're more dry, and they're more brittle. Have you ever noticed someone who has very fine strands and they're stuck at the same length for several years, but as soon as they decide to put their hair in a sister lock or maybe dreads, then you notice that their hair appears to be longer? When you decide to put your strands in sister locks or dreads, they tend to become stronger, they retain moisture for longer, and you're not breaking your strands by using a comb or a brush. Think about a rope. Think about the fibers of a rope. If you were to begin to separate the fibers of a rope, then it will weaken that rope. It's the same thing with our hair strands. When they're by themselves, they are weaker, but when they're placed together, they become stronger. So I explained earlier about our hair appearing to be like a twisted oval rod. Why is this important? It's important when it comes to sebum distribution. You see, our scalp produces an oily substance that is meant to protect our scalp and hair, providing a unique environment for our hair to grow. The sebum is meant to be distributed through the entire hair strand. However, because our strands are always filled with coils and curls and twists, the sebum cannot adequately cover our strands all the way to the ends. This causes our hair strands to become dry, and dry strands equal brittle strands, and brittle strands equals breakage. So even though your hair may be growing half an inch, 1 inch, or 2 inches every month, if your hair is dry and it continues to break at the ends every month, you're playing a subtraction game. You're not able to add on any length to your hair. As your hair strands are growing out of its follicles, it tends to bend and twist. That is why we have these curls. And in the areas where you have these bends, it's going to be weaker. Weaker to the point where sometimes your strands may form cracks. Another feature of our hair strands that impedes the distribution of sebum is the fact that each strand has varying thickness. So, one part of your strand might be thicker than another. Especially when you get to the ends of your hair strands, it's usually narrow. In addition to the sebum being unable to fully coat our hair strands because of the kinks and coils, because of its irregularity in thickness, our strands face another problem: knots. These knots form because of our hair's irregular thickness. And when I talk about knots, I'm saying that your strands can literally tie together. And if you try to untangle it with a comb, you'll be breaking your hair. And if I were to demonstrate this, you'll see what I'm talking about. Just take a look at what I'm doing here now. Okay, so you get the gist. Your hair will break if you use a comb to remove the knots. So, the best thing to do is to finger detangle. Now, do you remember I spoke about your hair strands having cracks in the areas where you have bends? That's another problem. When you comb your dry hair, it's going to break off. So, to recap, our hair is prone to dryness. Why? Because the sebum cannot evenly distribute and cover and coat and protect our strands. And why can't the sebum be evenly distributed? Because of all the kinks and curls and twists and turns of our strands. So now you understand why you're still stuck at the same length. Dry hair, brittle hair, hair with cracks. So now that you understand this, I have one question. Why would you use products that dry out your hair further? And I'm talking about lauryl sulfate shampoos, sodium lauryl sulfate shampoos. These ingredients will cause more drying to your hair. And for most of us, we do not have a hair care routine where we replenish the moisture after shampooing. And I'm talking about deep conditioning. Most individuals, especially those with kinky texture, coily or curly hair, they do not deep condition their hair on wash days. And after deep conditioning, what do you do to your hair? Do you actually place a leave-in conditioner or maybe a moisturizing cream and seal in that with an oil? No, I doubt it. So these are some of the main reasons why your hair is still stuck at the same length for several years. Another thing, considering the fact that, okay, your hair is always dry, your hair strands can be prone to having cracks, why would you rip a comb through your hair to remove knots that the comb cannot remove? Let's also talk about the chemical relaxers, the chemical dyes, heat styling tools. Remember, as I said before, our hair is prone to being dry. Our hair strands usually has cracks. Applying these harsh chemicals and heat styling tools will only cause more damage. And these are some important truths I needed to understand to be able to get my hair to almost waist length. Tension to your hair strands. This is another big one because many individuals, they put their hairs in high, tight ponytails. They plait their braids extremely tight, as well as put in weaves without taking care of their hair underneath. This causes more damage. So now that you understand the reason for your length retention misery, are you ready to change your mindset and let's gain some inches? First, let's talk about moisture. Do everything you can to always keep your hair moisturized. So for example, on your wash days, spray or mist your hair with some aloe vera juice. By the way, I recently did a video talking about the aloe vera plant for hair growth and I shared a few recipes. But if you don't have aloe vera juice, you can mist your hair with a herbal tea, maybe rosemary tea, fenugreek tea, hibiscus tea, or plain old water. But whatever you do, please mist or spray your hair before handling it. Next, you must gently section your hair and detangle each section. It doesn't have to be perfect. You simply want to ensure you are removing the shed hair and any knots and tangles with your fingers. Next, you will twist up the detangled sections and cleanse them. That is, your hair while it's still in sections. Gently wash your hair with a shampoo that will not strip your strands. So, please read the labels of your shampoos to ensure there are no lauryl sulfate, which are very strong chemicals, sodium lauryl sulfate, and sodium mauryl sulfate. Sodium mauryl sulfate is considered to be a mild cleanser. Nevertheless, don't take chances. It's better to be safe than sorry. After shampooing, you must deep condition your hair. Find a deep conditioner without sulfates and phthalates and silicones and parabens. The problem with silicones is that they actually block moisture from reaching your strands. So silicones are like a barrier. You can also prepare your own deep conditioner. I have a video showing how to make one using aloe vera and fenugreek. Gently and thoroughly coat your strands. Massage that deep conditioner into your strands. Work it in well, and then put on your shower cap. Wearing a shower cap while you let your deep conditioner work its magic will do wonders for your hair. After about an hour or two or maybe 3 of deep conditioning your hair, gently rinse your hair with lukewarm water. Then while your hair is still damp, apply your leave-in cream or your leave-in conditioner and then seal that in with a beautiful herbal oil. I often leave my hair to dry in twist. However, if I need to go out on my wash days, after washing my hair, I put my hair in a high tension-free bun, tuck my ends in, and leave it to dry. And we're still on the topic of moisture. So what do you do between your wash days? Yes, you re-moisturize. So between wash days, my hair is often in chunky twists or braids. So what I do, I spray my braids or my twist either with aloe vera juice, water, or a herbal tea. Then I take down my twist one by one. I always keep a batch of herbal hair tea frozen, so whenever I need to, I just take them out and thaw it off. I use a gentle squeezing motion to get that moisture in my strands, and then I take down my twist or braids. I lightly remove any shed hair, applying my leave-in conditioner or hair cream. I detangle, then I apply my herbal oil, and then I retwist my hair. I love to coat the ends of my hair with oil because they're the oldest parts of my hair. And the last tips as it relates to moisture is to always protect your hair when you sleep at night, either with a silk or satin scarf or bonnet, as well as keep your hair in a well moisturized, protective hairstyle. Tuck your ends in. Keep your strands hydrated from within. Ensure you drink adequate water or maybe coconut water. Or if you don't like drinking water, I would suggest you add some lemon or lime juice to your water. Ingest a lot of teas as well as juice. Another important factor that will help you to retain length is to ensure that your hair strands are stronger. Ensure that your iron and protein intake are adequate. Regular exercise and scalp massages with a herbal oil will help to increase blood flow to your scalp, ensuring that nutrients get to nourish your hair follicles. Henna hair mask application will also help to strengthen your hair. The henna dye actually gets between those cracks that I spoke about earlier and will help to seal them. I have a video where I demonstrate how to prepare a very moisturizing henna hair mask so that your hair does not dry out when you use it. If you're not a fan of henna, you can try using protein treatments with eggs. Prepare an egg pack using honey and aloe vera, and this will help to strengthen your hair. And I have to reiterate this. Kindly practice detangling your hair gently with your fingers because the combs will break off your strands. You'll be stuck at the same length for years. But remember, before detangling your hair, mist or spray it with a hair tea, water, or aloe vera juice, whichever you prefer. Also avoid the heat styling tools, which will only weaken your strands, and the same goes for chemicals. Stretching your hair without tension will help you to minimize knots and tangles and lead to length retention. Kindly remember to check the labels of your hair care products. And with that, I want to say thank you once again for joining me. Thank you for sticking around to the end. And if there are any tips that I neglected to mention, kindly leave yours in the comments below. Please change your mindset regarding how you take care of your hair, and I promise you, your hair will begin to flourish in no time. I know mine did. Continue to be gentle with your strands, learn your hair, and give it what it needs. And until next time, remember, your self-care journey starts now.